Voyage.
Every Who down in Who Newville liked the holidays a ton, but where to get great prices on gifts, they had no idea. None. They searched and they searched for great gifts under $25. Gifts for spouses and friends and even their toddlers. When suddenly one Who shouted, Walmart has what you want, knowing they have Lego, Tree Hut, and low prices to flaunt. So they enjoy the holiday season as Who's often do. Cheering and shouting, Walmart has incredible gifts. Who knew? Find gifts they'll love under $25 at Walmart.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
This is David Leslie.
Have you ever wanted to break free from the daily grind of life, or somehow escape the trials you face to live a life you only dreamed of? Recently, I was reflecting back on some very tough times, nearly losing our family house, a near fatal accident, death threats in foreign countries, a painful, life-changing kidney donation to save my dying sister, and lastly, a devastating health diagnosis. Here's what's crazy. You may not even believe it. I was recently asked, David, if you had to go through all this pain, all this stress again, what would you change? Nothing, I answered. That's crazy. Why wouldn't you want to change a thing? Well, I found a precious gift in all of this, which is more valuable, more fulfilling, and more rewarding than all the heartache, stress, and pain I have experienced. And it may not be what you're thinking. Let me tell you my story.
To understand David, you need to understand his relationship with his wife, Simone.
I grew up in a Christian family and we went to church every Sunday, but by the age of probably 17, 18, I was pretty much lost. After that, I discovered really a true relationship with the Lord. And I remember around the age of 27, 28, I really entered into a relationship with him, and that really changed everything for me. It changed the whole course. And around that time, Simone and I were married, and that's when we started our journey of faith.
David was going out with my cousin, and I met David at my cousin's 21st. They went out for about 3 years, and because we had a close extended family, I kept bumping into David every time our families got together. And I thought he was funny, but I was really shy at the time and younger, so that was about it. But then they broke up and she got married. And then it was at her brother's, so my cousin's wedding. The morning of that, I was dancing around the kitchen singing, David's going to be there. And my mum was like, oh, do you like David? And it was like I had been hit with a Cupid arrow, because I was like, oh, maybe I do. And it was just the most random, weirdest thing. And then at the wedding, we spoke for about 5 minutes. We'd both just started skydiving, and so we were talking about that. And that was it. And I, being really shy, I never really made the first move or anything. But again, something had flicked a switch in me. And after that, I ended up calling him, which I never did. And that was it. And we went out he invited me out for a drink, which ended up being dinner. And then 6 months later, we were engaged. So
it was a surprise to Simone. We have islands off Australia, and there's an island there called Daydream Island. And it's this beautiful island up near the Barrier Reef. So I flew her up there on the guise that we were going for a holiday, and got up there, and one night I just said to her, why don't we go and have sunset drinks? So we went down to a private beach, and it's like nice white sand, beautiful turquoise water. And I basically had a ring pre-made, and I had black pants on and a white shirt, and I didn't have pockets, so I had to stuff the ring down into my underpants. It was in a case and everything, so it was all safe. And so I got down on my knees, and
He'd written a poem.
I'd written a...
And he had it framed.
I've written a poem.
Really?
Is that too much?
Let me hear it and I'll tell you.
If you laugh, I may pass away.
Just read it.
Well, I read it out, and
Okay, here goes. Simone, my angel... Simone, my angel in disguise, every time I cast my eye upon you, I shake from head to toe. Heart and delighted heart, our souls shall never part. Am I dreaming or could this be true? Only one can tell me if dreams come true.
and she was like, "That's so beautiful."
That was beautiful.
I passed?
You passed.
Okay.
And then I said, "Look, I've got one more thing for you."
I've got one more thing for you.
And she's like, "Oh, okay, what's that?"
Okay, like what?
And
A sonnet? A haiku? A limerick?
when I was kneeling down, the ring had fallen deeper into my underpants.
Not quite.
And I put my hand down my underpants. Then she's like looking at me going, "What?
What exactly do you have for me in there?
Like this is really, really weird." Like, I remember the look.
This is the story of Mr. Bean, really.
Yeah.
We have this saying that he has the bean anointing.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of very funny bean stories that
Yeah, so
our life.
So I've got one more thing for you. Her face is just like lit up. She's just in shock, going, "What the hell?" Like, I'm stuffing around down there trying to grab it, like grab the ring,
Just a
that
moment.
is.
Pardon?
And so I
Technical difficulties. It's...
eventually get the ring out,
Right, there we go.
and then I open it up and said,
Will you marry me?
Okay, I have to say I'm quite relieved.
Is that a yes?
then she goes, "Yeah, absolutely."
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
And the rest is history, as they say. Around that time, Simone and I were married, and that's when we started our journey of faith. And for me, I suppose that significant journey took a real turn back in 2008. I remember sitting there and the cycle of life just kept on repeating itself. Work, job, responsibilities, paying the bills. And I was frustrated with this ordinary life. I was frustrated with this generic Christianity. I remember reading books of men of faith like Reinhard Bonnke, Billy Graham, Mother Teresa, and I thought to myself, I wished I could actually create footprints of change like these people have around the world. And to be honest with you, it was only a wish. I was thinking, as if God could use someone like me. I was a typical middle-class Australian man, doing life week to week. And I thought, God, could you actually use someone like me? And I got to a point where I was so frustrated, so dissatisfied with my life. I remember almost screaming in my head, like, no, I don't want this life anymore. I was sick of the mediocrity. I was sick of the mundane lifestyle. I thought to myself, there must be more to this life. And something happened in 2008. We got to a place where with the financial crash, our whole life turned upside down. We had a business, things started to go wrong. The bank that we were with were threatening to take our house and pretty much our whole livelihood. And at that point, I made a vow to God. I said to him, if you get me through this, if you get us through this, I am going to follow you with all my heart, and I'm going to set my radar on finding my purpose and living that out on planet Earth. And that was a moment of change in my life. Simone and I should probably have a bit of a recollection about this, but during that time, I got pretty distraught about, obviously, as a father and a husband. I went down, I planned a coffee with Simone down at our local cafe shop. And I said to her,
Sugar,
Thanks.
I don't know how to say this.
What's wrong?
This thing with the bank.
Well, that's not exactly breaking news, is it?
Everything's gone pear-shaped. I've failed you as a husband, as a father, and if you want to leave, I'd understand.
What?
You deserve better.
David, the bank, that's not your fault.
Maybe so, but
Hey, I don't care. We can lose the house. We can lose everything. I don't care. We can have the nicest cardboard box to live in on the street. I do not care. I'm with you, no matter what. And we will get to the other side of this.
Well, here I went and had a whole speech prepared.
Another poem.
Maybe that would have been better.
Sorry to disappoint you.
You'll be the prettiest lady on the cardboard house block.
Hey, just because I won't leave you doesn't mean I want to lose a house.
Thanks, babe.
and we prayed on the beach that night. I'll never forget it. There was a full moon out, and it was almost like God saying, I'm with you. And from that point, something changed. And it was soon after that God started speaking to me about my purpose and what I believed I was meant to do on earth. So that's how it started to transition from that point.
It always makes me a bit emotional. It was just a really hard time in life, and not actually through any fault of our own, because the bank was actually acting unconscionably towards us. There was illegal stuff going on. So when David says it's not his fault, it wasn't at all. We hadn't skipped a payment. Our businesses were doing well, but they actually went after cash flow positive businesses at the time. It was just, one of the darkest times. For him to turn around and say, I feel like I've failed and you can leave me, was just pretty ridiculous.
I prayed. I remember praying for a whole week, and I had a phone call. I was praying and fasting, and my pastor called me at 5 minutes to 5 p.m, just before my fast was about to end. And he said to me, I believe you're called to preach. And I'm a business guy, and I had done public speaking before, but never had thought about preaching per se. And I remember him saying that. And I then, over the course of the next probably 6 months, there's a great evangelist by the name of Reinhard Bonnke, and I decided to join his newsletter to find out what he does in Africa. So I did. And soon after that, he sent an email out and said, I would like to train up evangelists in Orlando over 2 days, and you're quite welcome to apply for that. So obviously I thought, well, this is part of my calling to go preach the gospel to all the world. So I applied. Many people thought it was crazy because I'd never preached before. I didn't have a ministry or anything like that. The fact that I was only one of 80 people called out of 17,000 to me was a miracle.
Our first child had just been born. He was 5 weeks old, I think, or younger. Anyway, when David was first asked to go on a missions trip as a businessman, and here's me with newborn baby and my husband's leaving, and I just realised back then that I can't stand in the way of my husband's assignment or calling or anything that God asks him to do, because I'm accountable for that then. So as hard as it was way back then, and as nervous and, newborn baby and new mum with all the emotions and hormones going on as well, I just had that verse in my mind that God really doesn't give us what we can't handle. So I thought, well, I must be able to handle this, so let's handle it.
After that, we started our ministry, and so 2009, we started going to Africa, and between 2009 and now, 2025, we've been going back and forth to Africa, preaching the gospel, literally to, over that course, millions of people. I'll never forget on the first night being handed the microphone and walking up onto the stage, and there was thousands of people there, and most of them weren't Christian. Many of them wanted me dead. And all I remember thinking is, God, I know you're with me and I'm going to preach your full gospel. And that's exactly what I did. And over the next 5 nights, I preached, and by the last night, there was about 60,000 people there.
Through it all, God kept showing David he was part of his plan.
It was 2019, bright sunny day where we live. Humid, really hot. We live on a steep block. I decided to do some chainsawing that day. And I said to Simone,
I'm off down the back with the chainsaw.
Okay, babe. Stay still.
Oh, no, I'm wrecking your top. The blood will never come out in the wash.
I didn't know if he'd broken his spine or, had internal bleeding.
Okay, the ambulance is coming.
Oh, my head. Oh, is it bad?
Just be still.
Oh, it's bad, isn't it? Oh.
Okay, the ambulance is coming. Liam called.
Oh, my head. Oh.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
He'd actually fallen like 7.2 meters onto boulders, and then conveniently he'd cut down some saplings as well right near where he landed on an angle. So there's these spikes that honestly the angels must have picked him up and laid him around it, that he didn't skewer himself on that. That was a miracle in itself. But there I was, just holding his head, telling him to keep still. I just remember I was praying in tongues the whole time, just praying, God. Just, I don't know, asking for a miracle, asking for healing, asking to keep him safe, just constantly praying and, in between telling him it's going to be all right, the ambulance is coming, you're going to be okay. The hospital was already on alert, emergency was on alert, the trauma unit, and waiting for him to come in. We finally got him to the hospital, and then he had to go and get a full body scan before they could even do anything because they didn't know what was going on. And he's in a full brace, and again, we're just praying, the kids and I are just praying and waiting to find out what's going on. But I knew God was with us that whole time. There was this supernatural presence of him, like almost being in a bubble in this high trauma situation. And he'd come back into the trauma unit after all the CT scans and whatever, and they said no bones broken, no internal bleeding, like he's okay. And it's surreal. And he'd had this collar on to try and, obviously to keep him still. And I said, because I was asking the head doctor if she could look at his head, because I'm covered in blood from where I was, holding him. And she couldn't do it until all the scans and the neck brace was taken off. So she said, okay, now that we can do that. So she took the neck brace off and had a look, and she said, you know what? It might only need like a stitch or two. She goes, hang on a sec. And she went back and got some stuff to clean it up. And then she said, actually, it's only a graze. And so that night, David walked out of hospital absolutely 100% fine. There was nothing wrong with him apart from this graze on his head. And I knew that we had sat in a miracle unfolding that day. We got him home. I'd put him into bed. And I was in the kitchen just thanking God that he saved my husband's life.
Your life hasn't been taken, and it's time to continue moving.
But God wasn't done challenging David.
It was mid-2020. It was during COVID. I found out my sister had one of the most aggressive kidney diseases in Australia. She was relatively fit. She was in her late 40s. Things were going well. And then basically it declined extremely quickly over a short period of time, 6 months. And she was on dialysis every 2 days. Got to a point where she was in and out of emergency. Wasn't too sure if she was going to live. They said, we urgently need a kidney donor. Obviously, I'm a sibling. I put my hand up and said, yeah, of course, I'll donate my kidney. I decided I am going to do this with excellence and I'm going to give her the best kidney I could possibly give her. So I started training, literally training twice a day. I would do weights, I was doing biking, I was doing running. We live on a steep block. I had this old car tire and I decided to actually put her name on the car tire and scriptures which would motivate me to keep preparing myself to give her the best kidney. So I would literally tie this tire to the back of me and run up and down our hills. And some days I was exhausted from the training, but I remember thinking in my head, this isn't just training, this is for my sister's life. And I always made a commitment that no matter what happens, I was going to give her the best kidney. So that particular time was intense. And then September 21, I flew from Brisbane down to Sydney. And the first miracle happened. That was during COVID. I remember going to the airport. There was 8 flights there. 6 of them were cancelled. One of the flights which I was on was still going ahead. And there was literally only 4 or 5 people on this flight, but it was God showing me again, he wanted to get me there. And went down to Sydney, saw my sister, and she was a mess. I remember picking her up the day before hospital. She was pretty much white, jaundice. She'd been vomiting all night. She was crying. She was emotional. She could hardly speak. And she was like, are we going to make this, David? Are we going to make this? And I said, yeah, we're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. You're going to get your new kidney. And that was the start of the whole process before I was operated on and before she was operated on. They put you in what's called a harbour bridge position where your body's bowed like that for 6 hours and they cut you in 5 places to pull your kidney out. And I've never been in so much pain post-operation, even with the morphine. I got to a point where I wanted to go home to heaven. I was in that much pain. I was in that much agony. I thought, if you can end this now, Lord, and take me, I'm willing to exit. But that never happened. And I remember a part of the process as I was recovering, I grabbed the video and I looked straight into the phone and I made this statement to Simone, and you'll probably never forget what I said. And I videoed my torso at the time. I got a video of it. It's pretty gruesome. It had blood and bandages all over my torso and tubes and everything hanging out. And I videoed it and then I stuck my face in front of the video and said, this is what love looks like. And that ended up pretty much nearly going viral, didn't it? I sent the message to Simone. And what I was really saying is, love isn't just about hugs and kisses and cards and flowers. It's sometimes about sacrifice. And God taught me during that time that his love for us is sacrifice, and our love for other people sometimes requires sacrifice. And that's what love looks like. Yeah, so the recovery from the operation was really tough. I was in hospital for over a week, and then it was still in COVID. So I was in Sydney, which was approximately 1,000 kilometres from where I live. I live in Queensland, which is another state in Australia. I had to get back home. The government in Queensland was very rude and arrogant. They were refusing to let me come home even though I'd had an operation, and requested for health reasons to home quarantine. And I couldn't believe it. Before the operation, I had checked with them. I said, I'm going down there. I'm giving my kidney to my sister. Can I come back home and quarantine at home? Yes, sure. When it came to it, they said no. So at that point, Simone started to put pressure on and the media got involved. So it ended up being a national story. I remember being interviewed by Fox, and They're asking me, David, what's happened? And I explained the specialists have said that I have to go home to quarantine. I can't be put into a hotel. Too much risk for me. Could even mean that, I could potentially, possibly even die in the hotel room because I don't have access to immediate specialist care. So after even the media pressure, everything, the politicians even got involved. It went to Parliament, and it was brought up during question time in Parliament even. All of this pressure, and the Queensland government still refused. So like a criminal, they put me into hotel quarantine. So I had to fly from Sydney to Brisbane, which is about a 1-hour flight. Then they placed me into a studio apartment, and I was left there to fend for myself. Before I got to the apartment, I had to be trained by nurses how to change all my bandages on my torso, administration of the drugs, what to do if something went wrong. And it was quite a horrific time because I was isolated. I had to take care of myself. I was still in a lot of pain. And during that time, it was 2 weeks in this 1-bedroom studio apartment. Simone was obviously an hour away at that time because I was back in my home state. It was a bit like Romeo and Juliet. So she would drive down and she would sit at the bottom of the apartment complex. I was up on level 2 and she would sit on the fence. We would call each other and we would talk.
I have some sugar in here somewhere. I can toss it down.
My coffee already has sugar, babe.
Well, sorry my hair isn't long enough.
For what?
Like Rapunzel.
Thank God.
Oh, you look good.
As if you can see me that well from there.
My eyes still work. You're not that far.
Well, you look awful.
Oof. I've been surgically cut in 5 places, but that hurt.
I'd say chin up, but that'd probably hurt you too.
Probably. How was the drive?
Long and boring.
Sorry to not have something more grand for you to arrive to.
Maybe you can fold your bandages into a flower or origami.
I certainly have the time.
I love you, my big bear.
I love you too, babe.
Post-kidney, I think that's where our relationship really was tested again, wasn't it?
Well, it's been a few times. Yeah, well, it was hard. I don't know, our relationship was tested.
No, not how,
it was a hard time.
Yeah. So it was our anniversary, 23rd of March, 2022. And just prior to that, I had been working outside in the veggie garden, and with Simone, we're there. I would just be exhausted. I would be like, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. The recovery's taking too long. I'll never forget one day I kind of semi-collapsed and into Simone's lap, and she was there patting my head. Do you remember that? Just outside here. And she's saying, it's okay, babe. I'm saying something's wrong. Something doesn't feel right with my recovery from the operation. And then fast forward, so on our anniversary day, we had gone out for breakfast, I think, from memory, on our wedding anniversary, 23rd of March.
And we were mulching down the
And then we were gardening down the back.
as you do on your wedding anniversary.
So, yeah, we get
Mulching.
we do gardening on our wedding anniversary.
Some husbands get their wife a car or a boat, but no.
This was your idea.
I'd take this over steak and lobster any day of the week. Really. David,
Yeah?
you've gone all quiet.
What if my purpose is over? My assignment? I feel like this is the end of something.
So, tell me if I'm tracking you right here. God has saved your life multiple times just to kill you?
I don't know. Something feels wrong.
Maybe your purpose isn't some grandiose affair. All I know is God needs you, and I need you, alive, to walk our daughter down the aisle. Is that purpose enough?
the phone rings.
It's the doctor.
And I can see it's the doctor calling. The doctor goes, "Oh, your blood test from your post-kidney surgery has come back, so please come down immediately." I'm like, "Why do I have to come down immediately?" And they said, "Just come down immediately." So we drive down 10 minutes from home. We both go into the doctor's office, and he's going through, he's going, "Okay, your readings here look okay, your readings here look okay." And he said, "Look, there's one thing I need to discuss with you." And he starts mumbling and fumbling around with his words. And I'm like, "What's going on here?" And then he just looks at me and he eyeballs me and he says, "You've got leukemia." And I'm like,
It was such a shock.
it was a shock, wasn't it? I literally sat there, Simone, I sat there just gobsmacked in silence. And I'm like, what? Like, my mind was just racing, and I'm just like, "You got to be kidding me. You got like, no way." And we walked out of the surgery, both of us hand in hand in silence. I couldn't speak. I don't think you could speak, could you?
No, there's no real words to cover that.
We got in the car, drove home in silence. I didn't know what was going on. I was in complete shock. I came to my office, which is where I'm sitting here, and just started pretending everything's okay, and was just like, "Okay, I'll go back to work." And then I started Googling, which was probably a bad decision, what leukemia is and what it means and all that type of stuff. And then I just break down, I just start sobbing. I walked upstairs into our bedroom. I think you heard me crying, didn't you? You were hanging out the washing?
Yeah, I just came in and I just think I just held you and I don't know, just said, we'll get through it. God will get us through it.
Simone had her arm around me. I was just bawling my eyes out. I think you were crying too.
It doesn't take much.
You'll cry if there's an ad on TV with a fluffy little dog that trips over.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just crying. We're just embracing each other, and we didn't know what the future held. But something rose up in me, and I decided the following day. I rang my crusade director in Ethiopia, and I said, "I'm coming at the end of the year to preach the gospel in Ethiopia." And he's like, "Okay." He's a man of faith. He goes, "Okay, are you sure? You sure about this? You got leukemia. You don't know what your chemotherapy is going to be like. You don't know what your future's like. Are you sure?" I said, "Yes."
Thank you for waiting, ladies and gentlemen. We've invited first class. Now we're inviting.
Do you think I'm crazy to go?
You said let's do it, didn't you?
I might have been out of my mind at the time.
The greatest immunity against death is to be on an assignment from God. That's why you decided to do this.
It's 30-some hours to Africa.
Good thing your hair isn't too long.
Okay, why's that?
You won't have to hold it up for all the vomiting.
Now that's cruel.
Hey, it's a good thing.
So we're in the hotel room. We're about 3 kilometers from an open air crusade field. So there's a huge stage set up, and there's, obviously all the equipment there. There's worship, big worship teams that are worshiping, and you can almost hear that 3 kilometers away from where we were at the hotel. You could hear people worshiping. So we get in this little minibus. There's myself, Simone, and the team. And we're driving down through the streets of Ethiopia. And it was unusual. There was an eerie silence. There wasn't many people on the street. And normally there's heaps of people on the street. And we're like, wow, this is a bit strange for Africa. And as we turn the corner to enter into the crusade field, we're all shocked. There's like this sea of people there, literally a sea of people. And the minibus has to make its way through this sea of people, and we pull up about 20 meters from the stage. You remember there? The security guards get out, and they've got sticks. Do you remember that?
Sand.
Like big sticks.
To keep the crowd back.
They keep the crowd back from there. I'm like, stop whacking everyone. And so they're kind of trying to get a path for us through the crowd to the stage. But obviously I love people, and so does Simone. And we're high-fiving people, we're hugging people, we're saying, hi, how are you? And we make our way up to the crusade stage. As we stand on the stage, we look out, the sun is setting, and we estimate there's about 120,000 people there, which is literally half the city. Literally half the city has turned up. And I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, I've never seen it like this before. I understand when you see someone like a Billy Graham or someone like that, but this is us, just Simone and I.
I looked out to a sea of expecting people, waiting for me to bring them the love, the hope, the joy of God. I walked forward and grabbed the microphone. And all my symptoms left my body. It was like God was saying, I am with you, I am here. Preach my gospel, show them my undying love and my healing power.
David preached powerfully that night, and it was like nothing I had ever seen before. He was in his sweet spot. He was doing what he loved and what gave him purpose. I watched my husband in his element, doing what God had called him to do. I was watching another miracle.
Thank you for having me in your city this week. I love every single one of you, and I will miss you. God has done many miracles this week. He has saved, He has healed. All credit, all glory, and all honor does not go to any man or any ministry. All glory goes to God.
There's like this boom of like people are just erupting. Like it's like and pray, like it's almost like the ground was shaking. And I put the microphone down because I didn't want them to be looking at me. I wanted them to be looking upwards towards God. Simone starts to cry. Tears are streaming down my face. And we walk towards each other and just embrace. It was like my whole journey since 2008 flashed in front of my eyes. Nearly losing a home, feeling like I had failed as a husband, the near fatal fall, the death threats, the painful kidney donation, the leukemia battle, all morphed into that one moment. It was like a montage of all these things went through my mind in that moment. And I know it sounds really, really strange, but we actually held each other close and danced. We actually danced as thousands and thousands continued to give glory to God. We were so overwhelmed by God's love and His grace. We just continued to cry and thank Him for what He had done in our lives and the lives of these precious people. And I remember thinking to myself, I stood next to a cross, which is right next to the stage at the end, and I thanked God. I said,
no matter what the cost or sacrifice I have to endure in life to fulfill my God-given purpose,
it's been all worth it.
He is worth it.
Hope Lives Here is a production of Voyage Media. The series is produced by Nat Mundel, Robert Mitas, and Dan Benamor. This episode, A Miracle from Heaven, was story produced by Jerilyn Esquibel and executive produced by David Leslie. To learn more about David and his work, you can visit soulfocusministries.org. That link is in the show notes. Written, directed, and produced by Dan Benamor, edited, sound designed, and mixed by Bill Cates. Original music by Derlis Gonzalez. Starring Jonathan Regier and Laura Belomo as David and Simone. If you're enjoying Hope Lives Here, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you're listening, and subscribe now for future episodes.